Hello, hello, hello. I want to welcome each and every one back to another wonderful episode of Teens Reality. I am your host, Pastor Udo Nwobi, and today we are going to be continuing on our wonderful series that we began 3 episodes ago, to be precise, Parental Supervision. We've taken our time to establish just exactly what it means to have parents supervise what their teenagers do, why it is important for parents to do so, why it is important for teenagers themselves to even accept it. Now, remember at the beginning of this show, we established the fact that this show is not just for teenagers, it's also for parents, guardians, teachers, and those who are currently in charge of raising and grooming teenagers. If you notice the angle this particular series has taken, it has been focusing a bit more on the parents, bringing you into understanding the fact that you have a key role to play in raising your children, a very key role to play. Now, if you do not realize that the power that has been given to you to groom that child, to make that child become who he or she is supposed to be, you might allow yourself begin to make errors that you may not think are errors right now, but in actuality will begin to cause things that in the future will make consequences you do not want to face at all. So what are we trying to say here now? You're a parent, you're a guardian, you're a teacher, you're someone who right now has a teenager assigned to you, and you're asking yourself, do I really want to do a good job? Because if you want to do a good job, it's up to you to also work on yourself. You must work on yourself. You must understand that there are certain things you do that can be transmitted to that teenager. And the manner in which you do those things can determine how that teenager reads the actions, the words, the vibes that you are giving off. If you're not careful, if you're not cautious, you might end up pushing your teenager away and thinking that, oh, I don't want this. I don't want this for myself. But the truth of the matter is this. I want to deal with certain misconceptions many parents have had, which leads me to the first aspect of what we'll be dealing with today. It says the challenges or obstacles to dealing with your teenagers. We're going to be dealing with 3 major points. They are very important. And as we address each one, I'm certain that it's going to be coming back to like, wow, this is what I must have thought, this is what I must have done. I've never perhaps seen it categorized this way, and now listening to it is giving me a better understanding of what I need to change or what I need to work upon to see that my teenager and I have a wonderful relationship and that they are not turned off my supervising them as a parent. Alright, so the first challenge or obstacle that parents face when dealing with teenagers, number 1, your beliefs. What have you believed about raising teens? If you believe you are in for a fight, then your mind is conditioned to see every move they make as one. Your beliefs. Now, when you gave birth to your child newly, they were so adorable, you were holding them right there in the hospital, perhaps when you adopted them, they came into your home. They were at that age where everything they did was cute. You weren't offended, you were so happy, you were so excited, and suddenly you were meeting perhaps some other parents and they're like, oh, enjoy them while you can now. Very soon, you're going to become that age where you wish you never had them in the first place. So, over a period of time, it's being built into your subconsciousness that these are the good years. I'm going to get to the stage where I'm not going to recognize my teenager. I'm going to get to the point where I'm not going to like what they do. I'm going to have to fight with them, argue with them. They're not going to want to listen to me. So if already you're having these beliefs ingrained into you, let me assure you that by the time their teenage years comes about, already this is the mindset you have. You are going in with a fighting mindset in place. So that even the most innocent words they say can be interpreted as a provocative word on your part. So what is your belief? Because right now, ask yourself, take a step back now. If right now you've been having frequent quarrels and arguments with your teenager, ask yourself, before you just start quarreling, what was the conversation on about? What was the issue on ground? What was your initial response? The kind of response you are giving to what your teenager did, do you feel it's actually perhaps justified, or is based on a response you feel like, if I don't give this response now, if I don't get this kid in hand, I'm going to have to deal with serious things in the future? Or perhaps you're reacting from a place of fear. I've been warned, I've been told. Teenagers are rebellious at this state. Teenagers can become, you understand, mischievous. They can turn into miscreants if I don't observe them or monitor them too closely. So your beliefs are something you're going to have to work on. Ask yourself, when I look at my teenager, what do I see? What is my impression? Am I looking at a child that I have raised personally? Because if you as a parent, what we looked at in our previous episode, what a parent must be ready to do, if you as a parent have taken time to instill values and morals, you have taken time to teach them, you have been patient, you have been understanding, you have employed the carrot and stick system, you've made them understand the consequences of certain actions, you don't really need to be afraid by the time they cross into their teenage years, because a firm foundation has been laid. The question now is, how are you going to be building on that foundation you have laid? If indeed you have laid a good foundation with that teenager of yours, if you have taken time to listen to what their interests are, if you've taken time to actually know them, their likes, their dislikes, how they reason. Because I told you that not every teenager is the same. Even all of your kids, perhaps you have 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as you have, not all of them are the same. So expecting each of them to respond to you in the same manner or approach everything that comes to them in the same manner, you're going to be setting up yourself for disappointment. So if that is another belief you've had ingrained into you, that, oh, your teenager must respond in this way, you have to deal with that mindset as a parent, as a guardian, as a teacher right now, first of all. You don't want to become someone living in a home where it's like a war zone. People get to the point that, okay, you actually are no longer talking to each other. It's like a silent war, a cold war going on. Everyone's just going about their business. And that is what you do not want to happen. When you get to the point that you and your teenager are no longer communicating. In fact, it has become so well established that you guys cannot carry on a conversation without it descending into loud arguments. So that the consensus now is better we don't talk to each other. And when you're no longer able to talk to your teenager, when they're no longer able to approach you with issues or whatever it is they experience on a daily, because I told you that they have realities, things that they face that might not look serious to you, but at that age in their life is quite serious, and where they need your advice most importantly. So if they get to that point where your voice is no longer available, that's the word, it's no longer available to them, because everyone that is on mind your own business parts, you're going to be having a lot of issues in the future to deal with. So number one, your beliefs. What have you believed? What have you accepted about your teenager? Now, number two is assumptions. Assumptions. It says, if you think you always know what your teens are thinking, then you will be frustrated and make misconceptions. If you always think you know what they are thinking, if you assume you know it, those assumptions, oh, she did not do those chores, she did not go to school today, she did not greet me, this must be the reason why. If every single time your teenager does something wrong, you feel you know why without actually asking or trying to find out, you will make a lot of misconceptions, wrong assumptions that will end into an argument that you do not need. So that's a challenge, your assumptions. You come to the point where you assume, okay, I know this is why they did this to me. Perhaps the previous day, your teenager did something wrong, you had to punish them, you had to ground them. And now the next day, they do something wrong, but now this time, accidentally, that is inadvertently, they didn't mean to do it. And now you jump to the conclusion, oh, my child is still is still reacting to what I did to punish or correct him or her the previous day. That is why they are acting out now. And perhaps right then, the child did not do it with that mindset. They were not doing it with that consciousness that, okay, I wanted to get back at mom. I wanted to get back at my dad. It just happened. But now you went about making that kind of wrong misconception. What happens? You are slowly creating a divide, a breach in your relationship with your teenager. Assumptions can be dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And you do not want that. You don't want that at all. Now, instead of making assumptions, I would like you as a parent to actually take our time to discover first of all. My teenager reacted this way today. They were rude to me. They were rude to the visitors who came to the house. Do you understand? They didn't do what they were supposed to do. Why did that happen? Actually tell yourself, I want to discover the reason why. Then go and discover the reason why. You want to discover, then go and discover the reason why. Don't just react. Don't just assume and say, okay, this is why they did what they did. I like to share with us a short story. You understand, this was about a parent, a mom of a 15-year-old boy. 15-year-old boy. She observed that her teenager had been behaving strangely, very strangely, differently from how he used to be. So she was a bit concerned. Now, one thing I like about it was that she made up her mind not to jump into assumptions. Instead, she decided to do something that you as a parent have not been called to do. She decided to observe first of all, pay attention, like pay close attention now to supervision, because at that age, he's 15, you might say, okay, I need to start maybe loosening the reins of control over him, the monitoring, but I still need to ensure that my hands are on deck to deal with any situation that might arise. You understand? So this is what happened. So they said, like, I found diapers in my 15-year-old son's backpack. So I followed him, and what I discovered changed everything. I found diapers in my 15-year-old son's backpack. Said, for the past few weeks, my 15-year-old son Noah had been acting different. He wasn't rude or rebellious, just distant. So this was what she noticed about him. He was distant. He would come home from school tired, retreat to his room without saying much, and shut the door. His appetite was off, and he flinched every time I asked where he was going or who he was texting. I figured maybe he had a crush or he had gotten into some teenage drama, the kind of stuff kids try to handle without their parents. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was going on. Then one evening while Noah was in the shower and his backpack as a school bag was lying unattended on the kitchen floor, curiosity got the better of me. I unzipped it. Inside were books, a half-eaten granola bar, and diapers. Yes, diapers. A full pack of size 2 diapers stuffed between his math notebook and hoodie. I cannot even begin to imagine what was going through her mind. She said, my heart practically stopped. What on earth was my teenage son doing with diapers? 100 thoughts ran through my mind. Was he in trouble? Was a girl involved? Was he hiding something huge from me? I didn't want to jump to conclusions or confront him in a way that would scare him off from telling me the truth. But I also couldn't let it go. So the next morning after dropping him off at school, I parked a few blocks away, waiting, watching. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, he slipped out the side gate and started walking in the opposite direction of school. I followed from a distance, heart pounding. He walked for 15 minutes, turning down smaller streets until he reached a rundown house on the edge of town. The paint was peeling, the yard was overgrown, and one of the windows was covered with cardboard. Then, to my shock, Noah pulled the key out of his pocket and let himself in. I didn't wait. I got out of my car and marched straight to the door. I knocked. It creaked open slowly, and there stood my son, holding a baby. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Mom," he said, stunned, "what are you doing here?" I stepped inside, overwhelmed by the sight. The room was dimly lit and cluttered with baby items, bottles, pacifiers, a blanket on the couch. The baby in his arms, a little girl, maybe 6 months old, was wide awake and staring at me with big brown eyes. "What is going on, Noah?" I asked gently. "Whose baby is this?" He looked down, rocking her instinctively as she started to fuss. "Her name is Lila," he said softly. "She's not mine. She's my friend, Ben's little sister." I blinked. "Ben?" "Yeah, he's a junior. We've been friends since middle school. His mom died 2 months ago. It was really sudden. They don't have anyone else. Their dad left when they were kids." I sat down slowly. "And where is Ben now?" "He's at school. We take turns. He goes in the morning, I go in the afternoon. We didn't want to tell anyone. We were scared Lila would be taken away." I was speechless. Noah explained how Ben had tried to care for his baby sister alone after their mother passed. No relatives had stepped forward, and they didn't want to be separated by the system. So the two boys came up with a plan. They cleaned up the old family house, and Noah volunteered to help. They split shifts watching Lila, feeding her, changing her, doing whatever it took to keep her safe. "I've been saving my allowance to buy diapers and formula," Noah added quietly. "I just didn't know how to tell you." I couldn't stop the tears from coming. My son, my teenage son, had been hiding this incredible act of compassion, of bravery, out of fear that I would make him stop. I looked at the tiny baby in his arms. She had begun to drift back to sleep, her tiny hand curled around Noah's shirt. "We need to help them," I said. "The right way." He looked up surprised. "You're not mad?" I shook my head, wiping my eyes. "No, sweetheart, I'm proud of you. But you shouldn't have had to carry this on your own." That afternoon, I made calls to a social worker, a family lawyer, and Ben's school counselor. With all the right people involved and proof of the boy's dedication to Lila, we were able to work toward a temporary guardianship for Ben. I offered to host Lila in our home part-time while Ben finished school. I even volunteered to help with baby care. It wasn't easy. There were many meetings, background checks, home visits, but day by day it came together. Through it all, Noah never missed a feeding, never skipped a diaper change. He learned how to mix formula, suit colic, and even read bedtime stories with animated voices that made Lila giggle. And then, he grew more confident with support around him. He had a chance to grieve, to catch his breath, and to focus on being a teenager again, without giving up the baby sister he loved more than anything. One evening, I came downstairs to find Noah sitting on the couch with Lila on his lap. She was cooing at him, holding onto his fingers with both of hers. He looked up at me and smiled. "I didn't think I could love someone this much who isn't even related to me," he said. "You are becoming a man with a beautiful heart," I replied. Sometimes, life throws things at our children that we can't protect them from. But sometimes, they rise to those moments in ways that show us just how extraordinary they truly are. Can you imagine? What a wonderful, wonderful story. What a wonderful story. 15-year-old Noah. I like the fact that through her willingness to be patient, first of all, not to jump into assumptions, she was able to not just help her son, she was able to help another teenager deal with the situation he was going through and get back on track. Are you aware that sometimes the decisions you make concerning your teenagers can directly influence the life trajectory of another teenager? Those decisions, are they going to be positive ones, or are they going to be negative ones? It is a question you're going to have to ask yourself. But right now, I want us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue discussing on the story we just read. Remember, this is Teens Reality Show. We want to hear from you, your questions, your comments, your opinions, anything that you have to share with us. The number to reach out to us is +234 813 929 2708. Send an email to teensreality@lifechangescoach.org. Do stay tuned. We'll be back. Hello, I want to welcome each and every of you to the maiden edition of Teens Reality TV Show. I am your host, Pastor Udo. Our vision is to create a new brand of teenagers who can get to understand who they are, who they were created to be by God, and helping them navigate this life easily by His help. It is so important. Alright, welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. So, wow, we looked at that story and we saw what that teenage mom had to learn, taking our time to listen and watch and inquire. And I like the fact that she could trust the fact that, okay, I know that what's going on with him, because the first step I want to commend in her attitude was her ability to be observant. She said she noticed first of all that he was distant, his appetite was off, he was staying more by himself in his room. You know, mainly he was not talking as much as he used to. How many of you as parents actually observe when your teenagers begin to have such changes in their regular pattern of behavior? Because if you're not able to observe those changes, you might not be able to address whatever they are going on, dealing with, or experiencing at that particular point in time. It might be that your teenager is experiencing cyberbullying, because following Noah that day after school, she could have discovered absolutely anything. She could have discovered the child dealing with one form of pressure or the other. She could have discovered him doing drugs. She could have discovered him playing truant. But as she followed, she asked and he reviewed. And she listened. You know, having listened to what he said, some might have still exploded, oh, there's no need for you to have gone all out. But I like the way she did not snap at him and make him feel bad for being a kind person. She commended him first of all. Many of us as parents, you understand, many of us parents, the assumptions you make concerning your teenagers, many times even when you discover that you were wrong, many of you fail to apologize or try to redress that issue. You allow it to go on and it grows into becoming a grudge that your teenager has to live with for years after. You made the wrong assumption, eventually the truth came to light and you felt like it was too much to go and say, okay, sorry, I made a mistake, it was an error on my part. It will not have taken anything away from you, but it would have made your teenager see you as more human, more compassionate, more understanding. And remember, you are trying to build a relationship where they can come talk to you about anything at all. Not where they are in a hurry to leave your presence, thinking you don't care or thinking you will not understand what they're going through. I'd like to read the last part of that story once again for you to catch what she said. I thought I knew my son, but I had no idea how deep his compassion around, how brave he could be, or how quietly heroic he was. It started with a pack of diapers in a school backpack. It led to a story I'll be proud to tell for the rest of my life. How many stories are waiting for you to tell? If only you'll be patient and understanding of your teenagers. If only you'll be willing to observe, supervise. Supervise with love. Supervise with understanding. Get to the heart of the matter. Don't just assume. Don't just think you know what is happening and then act without knowing every single thing. In one of our earlier series, we talked about perceptions, perspective. People have different perspectives, different views about things, different opinions. Don't just judge based on what you're seeing alone. Listen to what is happening. Listen to both sides of the story. Ask questions. And when you ask, you let your teenager know that be free, that they are free to come to you with anything. They can lay those burdens, those cares, those concerns, those issues before you, and they are not going to be rejected at all. They are not going to be rejected at all. Today, you're a parent listening to me right now, you're a teenager. In fact, perhaps you've been going through such a thing, you've been wondering how to open up to your mom or to your dad. Please, you can go approach them and talk to them and say, okay, mom, dad, I feel like you've not really been listening. I feel like you've been making assumptions that perhaps I don't know who else you've been listening to, but this is not truly what I've been doing. I'm not really like going off track. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Or you can perhaps admit to some of the things you've been doing wrong, so at least there'll be that trust element established that you both can now begin to work with and build upon. As a teenager, don't be afraid. Your parents love you, they care for you. Be willing to share, be willing to be open, be willing to appreciate. Now, imagine the benefit that came to Noah and to Ben, because now an adult was able to step into the situation. So at least that fear, the terror Ben had been going through about losing his kid sister was taken away, because Noah's mom opened up her home and she brought in other adult personnel who could assist and make the process a seamless and a smooth one for them all. All right, we're going to stop here today. We've taken our time to just look at 2 points: the beliefs and the assumptions that parents have towards their teenagers. When we come back on our next episode, we'll keep exploring further. But remember, every one of your opinions and your questions, it might be perhaps something we've said so far is not quite clear to you. Don't be afraid to reach out to us on Telegram, on WhatsApp, through a text message, even on TikTok, with +234 813 929 2708, or send an email to teensreality@lifechangerstouch.org. Till I come your way next time, thank you for staying with us. I remain your lovely host, Pastor Udo. Will be saying to you, cheers.